Irish Nation and Irish haters. The recruiting is over. Commitments have been made. Transfers decided. Practices are in motion. Games are slated. Bowl games have unknown participants with the national champion uncrowned. But to play like a champion, you need to talk like a champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Glad to be back with you for another edition of Talk Like a Champion. I am, of course, Mr. CeeLo here, back with you talking all things Fighting Irish as we get ready for I call it the home stretch because we've only got, 3 games left, you guys. And I can't believe it's gone by so quickly. But we're coming up to one of those big 3, which is one of these games I had no clue that this game was going to be as insignificantly irrelevant as it is. And that's primarily because the Fighting Irish are no longer undefeated, and Clemson, surprisingly, is a 4-loss team. And I'm pretty sure many of you heard about the meltdown that Coach Dabo Swinney had with a fan that called in. It's I don't want to say it's gone viral, but it's a huge, it's been a huge talk in the college football world. Basically, in a nutshell, saying that fans get entitled when they're winning, and instead of enjoying the moments of victory. Basically, in a nutshell, people like the caller was criticizing Dabo, and honestly, I'm inclined to agree with some of what Dabo said, but I'm also inclined to agree with what the fans said. You gotta, when you sign for a lot of money, you're subject to the ridicule, and you just have to take it. And hopefully, Dabo doesn't have those words come back to bite him. You just have to take the good with the bad. When you're good, you're good. You're not so good, you're not so good. And he has a top 10 roster. We've said so many times that he has. I do think his quarterback play has been, a issue. We can sit here and say the same thing here in South Bend. Quarterback play has been a problem for Notre Dame in so many ways. We just have to really be realistic with ourselves. But let's look at the tail of the tape. For the most part, I'm not really worried about, much. Let's look at the passing game and how it ranks up as far as Clemson against our defense. Notre Dame's defense, which has really been a huge, huge step forward. And now for me, they're finally performing at the level that I expected in the early parts of the year. They're ranked 3rd nationally with 158.6 passing yards allowed, whereas Clemson is 45th nationally with K. Klubnik at 259 passing yards per game. There was even talk that possibly that Clemson's backup quarter could get a look, which I don't know. This game means a lot for Dabo, especially given the events of the past week. And Notre Dame per pass per week is ranked 7th nationally, giving up 5.6 yards per pass attempt, where Clemson is tied for 93rd with 6.7 yards per pass attempt. Then, of course, this next category, which is rush yards, is going to be huge because you have Will Shipley, their top back in concussion protocol. It's still not known whether or not this guy's going to play. This would be a huge boost to the Notre Dame defense if this guy doesn't play? Well, the only thing is there's an unknown. There is an unknown, and when you start dealing with other backs, and honestly, this could be a mystery, so you don't really understand or you don't know. Notre Dame ranks 37 nationally defensively at stopping the run, giving up 121 in the third. Clemson 64th running the football. Yikes. Not good considering you're also playing that hot secondary and Al Golden's very, very on fire defense. And yeah, right now that's not who you want to play. You're not wanting to play the Irish at the height that they're playing at right now. They're playing exceptionally well, and you know this is not what you want to deal with right now. If you're a struggling offense as well as a struggling passing team, this is definitely not the football team that you want to see at this point. And right now I'm not saying that this football team can't come out with a fire and come out, and Dabo is a great motivator. I will give him that. But a guy like Xavier Watts, who has just played his natural butt off, and guys, ever since I called him out a couple of weeks ago, not sure he watches the show, not sure, but maybe somebody else did and say, hey, look, we needed our safeties to step up against Ohio State. All I'm saying is Watts does that, or Brown makes that play in that Ohio State game, we're talking national championship still, even with a loss to Louisville. People are going to say, well, no, yes. We can still talk national. Look at Texas. Look where they are right now. Oklahoma's not a better team than them. People are going to say, well, look at their loss. Oklahoma team is not a better team. They won by a point. Now, you can't keep talking about national title. I know that's just me. I'm sorry, you guys, if you're not happy with that. But, continuing on, the way this defense has really been playing is just, it's really been something to watch. It really has. And I'm glad that the guys on this defense and Al Golden finally got these guys at that point where you got Leofow playing well. And of course, Watts is playing good. Benjamin Morrison showed us something. Mickens is showing us what he's going to be later on. And, we're looking at the rush yards per carry. At Notre Dame is 33rd nationally at 3.5 yards per carry, where Clemson ranks 64th at 4.2 yards a carry, which is down a little bit. But that could be because of the slight lack of drop-off in competition. And then points per game has just been absolutely amazing, where Notre Dame ranks 10th nationally at 15.3 yards, where Clemson ranks 63rd nationally, scoring 28 points a game. And reality about this, guys, I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but Clemson's got nothing to play for, really. I know a lot of people will say, well, they got to get to 6 wins. True, but I'm not saying Dabo's not playing for a bowl. I mean, I just think ultimately he wants to play spoiler, but it could possibly a transfer where he wants to play this backup quarterback. And as I said before, I was listening to a source out of Clemson that they may bench Cade Klubnik, not bench, but put him on the bench, as he's thrown for 1,947 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 5 picks. His completion percentage is impressive at 63.9, but you're talking about 6.6 yards per pass attempt. He's not really stretching the field, and that's kind of what was the staple of Clemson's really good teams when they had guys, like Hopkins and several of those other guys that have gone to the NFL. I'm kind of short on memory at this point. Justin Ross, who before he had a devastating back injury, he was projected to be a top 5 pick, and then that devastating injury. But you got many wide receivers that these guys, like Ray McLeod, so many of these guys that had just devastating speed and size. as well as guys like Mike Williams. I totally forgot about him. Will Shipley leads the Tigers in yards and carries at 4.6 a carry. He's got 515 yards. Phil Mufah has 73 carries on 439 yards on 73 carries, but he averages 6 yards a carry. And kind of see where we're at here. Then we look at the receiving core, which is, spaced out, but nothing stands out at you. You don't have any guys that, blow the doors off of you. You got Bo Collins, 408 yards on 30 catches, which is a pretty good average, 13.6 for a catch. Then you got Tyler Brown, 397 yards on 32 receptions, 12.4 catch. Jake Brenningstool at 31 receptions, 344 yards, 11 yards a grab. And, running down the touchdown run, Mufah's got 6 scores, Shipley's got 5, Brenningstool has 3 grabs, Klubnik has 3. And then you look at the other side of the ball, you got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. leads the team in tackles with 54, Barrett Carter 43, R.J. Mickens 32, Andrew Mubaka at 27. And then you look at the sack total, T.J. Parker 4, Wade Rudaz 3, Rook Aurora Horo at 3, and Xavier Thomas at 2. Picks, they've only got one guy with 2, and that's Budaz. As I said, you guys, looking at the roster top to bottom, it's a really good roster, and you expect they're going to get up. They're not just going to fall over and die. I just think our defense is clicking so good right now. And I mean what I said, guys, about if we had Ohio State, USC, and Clemson back to back to back at this junction, I know what people are going to say, you're going to have a letdown. No, you don't. Because what happens is they played that Ohio State game and lost that game, and then they came back, recovered, but then they kind of thought, okay, Louisville's a pushover just because they're undefeated, if you will. But it's just heartbreaking, guys, because we look like a contender right now, even though Sam Hartman's tailed off a little bit. I think some of that has to do with Jared Parker. You have to throw it down the field. Tobias Merriweather, hopefully we get Deion Colzie back. I'm really looking for him to come back. You got Jaden Grayhouse. I don't know if he's affected by this hamstring, but he has totally been non-existent, and I'm not blaming him. I think a lot of it has to do with play calling. Jared Parker's a first-year play caller. He's got to figure out how to get his playmakers to football. That is the most important thing you can do. You have to get your playmakers the ball. Create something. I've seen his play calling change a little bit, and his route trees are starting to change a little bit. He's starting to be more creative. Understand that this route tree is not going to be the route tree. It is a tree that sets you up. And that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to take 2 routes that set up one tree. And that's the one that's going to get you down the field. I'm not saying you do it on every play. But like if you have a hitch and go, sometimes you run the hitch, sometimes you run the go. Sometimes you do it that way. Sometimes you fake the hitch, but you got a guy out here that's supposed to be in the slot blocking. He takes off up the field. You have the quarterback look here, but he's throwing here. Just saying. I'm going to have to start drawing these things for you guys. Let's look at when Notre Dame is on offense and Clemson's on defense. Now, there's going to be one thing that's not thrown in here, and that's going to be Death Valley's noise factor. And we've already seen Notre Dame has came east, and these East Coast teams have been notorious for sound. We're going to have to be prepared. We have had problems locking this thing down. We really have. And let's go ahead and look. We already know the tale of the tape when it comes to passing yards, which it wouldn't shock me if these last couple of games, I love Sam Hartman, but since we're not playing for a national championship and we're playing for a top bid bowl, would not shock me if we try to get some Steve Angeli time. It wouldn't be Angeli's time, or maybe Kenny Minchie. Sorry about that. But Notre Dame ranks 44th in passing yards at 263.8, which is something I'm sorely disappointed in. It's not all Sam Hartman and it's not all Gerard Parker. I think the injuries to the receiving corps have been a huge part of that. And ultimately, it played a part on whether we're not able to throw the ball in certain spots. I thought we got away from guys like Holden Stays and guys like Tobias Merriweather. I think Gerard Parker, being a first-year play caller, he kind of got fixated along with Sam Hartman on Mitchell Evans, who was a great player, but you don't have to get fixated on a guy. It's just like the Louisville game. You kept saying, okay, you need a big play, go to Mitchell Evans. Everybody on the field knew that. Everybody on the field knew that. So, anyway, Clemson ranks 9th nationally in pass yards allowed. Remember that. They get after the quarterback now. But it's a different dynamic when you look at rushing yards. Notre Dame is 57 with 164.1. Now, Clemson nationally is ranked 15th in giving up rushing yards. This is what's wild about how Clemson is 4-4. These defensive numbers are impressive. If I had to say it, I think a lot of what happens with Clemson is they have a lot of miscues, whether it's on offense or whether it's on defense, that cost them. But the defense is, looking here, the lights out. Notre Dame ranks 29th nationally at 4.92 yards a carry, thanks to Audric Estime being over 1,000 yards. Clemson ranks 16th in yards allowed per carry at 3.13. So you're still looking at, if we were to pound Clemson up the middle with our various running backs, we could very well still get first down yardage and turn this into a rush game. Notre Dame ranks 12th nationally at 38.3 points a game. Meanwhile, Clemson's 36th in points allowed at 21. So, needless to say, if we took all the averages and put them together, considering the type of teams that Notre Dame and Clemson have played, you could argue and say that this is going to be the game that Notre Dame pulls out. Now, I had some people to call out because a lot of people at the beginning of the season were saying that Clemson was going to beat Notre Dame. Now, all of a sudden, you got a lot of people retracting that because, Clemson's 4-4. Well, you looking at the record. Why are you changing your mind now? Don't change your mind. I never changed my mind. I never wavered on whether we were going to beat Ohio State or USC. I thought the USC game was going to be a lot closer than the experts thought. I really ultimately did. I ultimately thought the USC Notre Dame game was going to be closer than it actually turned out to be. A lot of experts picked USC at the time. Whereas the Ohio State game wasn't even supposed to be close, but for the vast majority, we dominated that game. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I see us taking this game, and it's by at least 2 scores. And I would say it would probably be somewhere around 9 points, maybe 10. Because I think the Will Shipley injury is going to prove big. I think Clemson makes some noise early because Notre Dame's looking at 4-4. We really got 3 games that mean absolutely nothing, and the teams that we're playing are not only irrelevant, but they're just not very good. And I think the offense and the defense kind of take it for granted, kind of like we did early with Pitt. And then all of a sudden, we get a burst. Chris Tyree was phenomenal. We've been waiting all season for that. I know I have. I don't know. It's kind of like, who is going to be the guy to come out and do this? That's what I'm waiting to see. Who's going to be this guy? I'm waiting on Tobias Merriweather to have his breakout game. I called something early in the year, you guys, and I've got to confess. Deion Colzie, I felt like if you guys go to my show and its other shows, you go to my and check it out. I said Colzie and Merriweather were going to be the next Floyd and Tate, and unfortunately, neither one of these guys became what they said. I said I was going to guarantee 10 touchdowns, but I also didn't know that Gerard Parker was going to throw the ball down the field as less as he did. Hopefully he sees that we're not here to play it safe. If you're going to be a national contender, you have to be fearless. You have to be that guy. You have to know you have a guy that's not afraid to throw it down the field. And honestly, you have to allow Sam Hartman to be who he was, and we did not in a lot of situations. And I think Gerard Parker was a little bit nervous at trying to do what he do. But we've had quite a few guys say that this game was going to be in a situation where we were going to lose this game and our opportunity. We were going to be 9-3. Now, we very well could lose this game. I don't see it because of how well we're playing. We've got a lot of momentum, and Clemson's trying to find it. I believe this game is close, and even Clemson even is going to be on top. But I honestly think that the Irish take this game by two scores and up themselves up to 8-3 and await. No, excuse me, 8-2. Excuse me, you guys. And I think Estime has another good game, but I also think this defense gets challenged because Clemson likes to hit you in the mouth too. You know, this is going to be a dog fight. So, and Clemson knows they've got to keep our guys off the perimeter. Now, I wouldn't surprise me if Cade Klubnik come out and had some surprise because he will run the football too. But it's up to our guys to stay disciplined. But I ultimately think this game is going to hinge largely on whether the health of Will Shipley is out there and whether or not Klubnik plays this game because they could go with the young guy. But want to give a couple of quick shout-outs to some Irish players. And, of course, Joe Alt is the All-American, and most people are already predicting he is going to be the top tackle in the country, as well as Xavier Watts being recognized as one of the players of the week for his 2 interception performance against as the 2 interceptions he had against Pittsburgh, he's also the NCAA leader in interceptions, having two pick performances. He was recognized by the Bronco Nagurski Trophy as its National Defensive Player of the Week, the second week in a row. And he's been just straight balling out after, he's been just doing his thing after. I don't want to say I take any credit for it, but hey, sometimes you get somebody as me talking that noise. Sometimes it's kind of cool when you see a guy that you called out taking it seriously and actually playing his best game. And it's calling out in a good way, not calling out in a bad way. So I'll take that. We need to do our thing. And also cornerback Benjamin Morrison has been recognized, and it's no doubt a surprise. Him being recognized, recognized for the Jim Thorpe Award. He is named as a semifinalist. It doesn't sound overwhelming, but hey, he went in as an All-American, and nobody throws at him. Nobody throws at him. I think ultimately when you make that mistake, you take your life in your own hands, and a lot of teams are choosing just not to do that. But that, of course, is going to wrap this up for the Notre Dame-Clemson matchup, you guys. Make sure you go check out the Facebook page, you guys. I love the fact that you guys are still dialoguing with me. It is the most awesome thing in the world when you guys hit me up and you guys do a great job of dialoguing and making comments and so on and so forth. But let's go into Clemson and get this win, you guys. Always share your feed and your comments underneath the shows on the YouTube channel, and just keep that content coming. Like I said, we'll hit back up here after the game tomorrow, and hopefully we are getting that 8th win and continue to rise up to that next level and get this New Year's Six Bowl locked on in. But until the next time, Irish Nation, hope God keeps you in the palms of his hand.